This is KTVO's Good Morning Heartland.
And welcome back. Safe, successful Missouri mushroom hunting begins with good identification skills and a basic understanding of when, where, and how mushrooms grow. And to learn more about how to do that, we have Brian Gilbert from the Missouri Department of Conservation here this morning to break it down for us. How are you doing today?
Doing well, Ella. Thank you.
Thanks for coming on. So first of all, for those that aren't familiar, what is a mushroom?
Well, it's not a plant. It's obviously not an animal. They're in a kingdom of their own, and it's a fungus.
Okay.
What sets these apart is they don't have a true stem. They don't have any leaves, and they don't produce chlorophyll, which all plants do. So the life of a mushroom actually starts out with a spore instead of a seed. Spore is just tiny seed. They'll hit the ground and germinate, and they'll actually form a hair-like network under the ground. And then when they get those perfect conditions, they'll shoot that fruiting body up, and that's what we all go out and look for.
So speaking of those perfect conditions, when is the best time to go mushroom hunting?
It's coming up really quick.
Okay.
Usually mid-April through mid-May, you ought to be able to find some. There's some theories out there. A lot of the hardcore mushroom hunters look for 53-degree soil temperature.
Okay.
That's what some guys live by. Some other folks think a night of 50 degrees in the week it makes perfect conditions. But we can't have any mushrooms at all if we don't get moisture.
I was going to say, is that right? Is that why it's mushroom season around this time? Because we do have a lot of rain in the forecast, and you know, April showers bring May flowers.
Absolutely, and mushrooms can grow really any time of the year, but we get these good moistures right now. We have the perfect temperatures right now. And we have the perfect climate here in Missouri to grow mushrooms.
All right, and where in Northeast Missouri can we go to find these mushrooms?
Anywhere, really. There's no secret to finding that secret spot. Everybody does have a secret spot, but most people won't even tell their brother about it. So you need to look for those damp, shaded areas. Like I said, they need the moisture, so the slopes that dry out faster tend to going to be drier, and they just won't produce the mushrooms as well.
And what kind of mushrooms are out there, and how can you identify? Because I know that there's good ones that you can eat and stuff, and then there's bad ones that are poisonous and all that stuff. So how are people able to identify the two?
Absolutely. Well, everyone knows the morel. There are many different kinds of mushrooms in Missouri. Some of the more common edibles around here are a meadow mushroom. You can find these growing in your backyard. Oyster mushrooms, these can grow actually from now through mid-November.
Wow.
They can grow most of the year. You can find these off of deciduous trees. Most people look around the bases of oak trees, living or dead. There's also chanterelles, which you can find during the summer months, and a lot of folks say these are actually better than morels.
Really?
They can be very beautiful, yellows and oranges. Along with that, there are poisonous mushrooms that are not to be mistaken. The destroying angel looks very similar to the meadow mushroom. The jack-o'-lantern mushroom is a poisonous.
These all have like really bad names.
The jack-o'-lantern resembles several of the chanterelles, and the false morel, of course, resembles the morel that we all go out and look for. The biggest thing to mushroom hunting is positive ID. If you're not 100% positive, just don't pick it.
Yeah, and you have a book out here too that kind of just helps with that as
Yeah,
well.
absolutely. This is the oyster mushroom here on top. But this book has dozens of mushrooms that are found here in Missouri, whether they're poisonous, whether they're edible. A lot of really good information for new mushroom hunters.
All right. Now let's talk about, is there a limit? Do you need a permit? What are the regulations when it comes to this?
There is no limit on mushrooms. Regulations vary a little bit on public grounds. If you're going to hunt MDC land or maybe state park land, you want to check those.
Okay.
Most of those places, you can only pick for personal consumption. You can't go out, pick those mushrooms, and then sell them.
Okay.
But as far as finding them on private land, there is no limit. And it's more of an ethics thing, really.
Okay.
You don't want to go out and just pick everything you can find, because we need mushrooms to make mushrooms. So you want to leave a few out there to
Okay.
reproduce for next year.
All right, and tools to make sure your hunting is successful. Is there any special hunting tool, or is it you just bring out a little laundry basket and you try to fill it?
All you need is yourself and a container,
Okay.
really. Long pants and long sleeve shirt are something I would highly recommend. There's multiflora rose and poison ivy and nettles and all these things you just don't want to be in contact with. Some sort of container. I swiped my kids' Easter basket this morning.
Make sure you return that back to them.
And this is actually a perfect container. It's got a flat bottom on it to let the mushrooms spread out. It lets air come in and out to keep those mushrooms dry. And it's kind of hard. It gives some protection. Most folks use Walmart bags or a paper bag of some sort. I would advise against this. For one, it doesn't allow any protection for those mushrooms. It creates a really warm, damp environment for those mushrooms, and they tend to deteriorate really quickly. And then also, if mushrooms will often drop spores after you pick them, and these wicker baskets allow those spores to come out where the sacks would not. And then finally, bug spray. It's really damp. You're in those damp, dark woods. You're going to find mosquitoes, chiggers, ticks, everything else.
Well, thank you so much, Brian, for coming on. What we'll do is we'll post everything on our website at heartlandconnection.com. We'll also link up links to mushroom hunting and basic tips with the Missouri Department of Conservation. Thank you again, Brian, for coming on.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back.